Hey guys, this is Tyler here from Rehab to Fab. I am working on this beautiful triple dresser here that we've got painted in a base coat of Xoxo in Antique Villa. It's a really pretty white color. It's not white like an ultra pure white, but it's also not like a yellow like some creams can be. Just a really pretty natural white color. It was obviously prepped ahead of time. We sanded it down. Had to repair one of these pretty legs that you see here where a dog had chewed it and ruined it. But my husband, being as talented as he is, rebuilt it and it looks great. You can't tell it ever had any issues with it. But it was primed and prepped and ready, and he's got a couple of coats of the Antique Villa on it. And then I am about to start doing some stripes on it. And this is Xoxo paint also in a color called Gustavian. And I think they've discontinued it, and I'm probably going to love it and I'll be sad about it, but I was able to get it. I was looking for a light tan kind of taupish color to use for my stripes. The top of this piece is really pretty. The natural wood, was stripped it and used some steel wool to kind of sand it, and it just looks and feels great. And so I was kind of wanting something natural, and I thought about leaving it just white because white natural sells, but I wanted to add a little something to it. So I'm going to do some stripes on here, and then I'm going to do some other stuff on the drawer fronts. But just a little tip for the day: when you are doing stripes on your pieces, once you get it all taped off, these are all measured so they're about the same width, and we have it on both sides. But a little tip for you, so you don't have a lot of bleed through, is to go back over your paint around the edges where the paint is, and you can either use your base coat, which in this case is the Antique Villa, or you can also use Xoxo matte varnish. This is actually what I used on the black and white desk that I just recently did, and there's a video up on the Facebook page and also on YouTube for that. We painted it in 1 hour enamel in black, and instead of going back over it with the enamel when I did my stripes, I used the Xoxo varnish and just went over the edges, and they peeled off beautifully clean. So I'm just going to use my paint on this just because I already have it out and open, and it's, you know, chalk synthesis paint, so it dries fast. And I'm basically just going to go around the edges where the tape is, and what that's going to do is kind of seal the tape in. And so if there were going to be any bleeds on it when you start putting your color for your stripes on, this right here basically is what's going to show underneath it, instead of if you wanted to do red stripes, blue stripes, whatever color you wanted, instead of that bleeding under the paint, under the tape, and showing, this right here is going to be what shows under it, because you're using this to basically seal off the area between the tape and your base coat color. So just like that. Again, just around where the tape is. You can paint all of it if you want, but just need it where the tape meets the paint here. And then once this dries, I'm going to go back with my Gustavian, that light tan color, and I'm going to paint my stripes that color. That's basically that. So really quick, again, with your paint, or you can use your Xoxo matte varnish. Either one. You're just getting a seal between that tape, the edge of the paint, tape, and the paint. And then obviously too, you want to make sure your tape is laying down really well. And I'm going around the top too, because we did take this off around the edges. I did not do that when I did my cashmere stripes on my black desk, and I had a little cleanup work to do. So this time my husband's got it taped off for me, because I'm a little messy. So that's it. I'll let that dry, and then I will come back and we'll do some of the color. Okay, I'm back. I'm still working on these stripes here. So this is my base coat that I just went back over to seal my tape in with my original base coat color in the Antique Villa. And next I'm going to use the Gustavian to paint my stripes. And for both of these I'm using a shorty brush. These are the new Klingon shorties that they came out with. I just kind of like the length of them better to hold in my hand. And they do work great for blending. If anybody's interested in that, we obviously have it on our website, along with all the Wise Owl paint products. So for this, I'm just going to pick up some of the color here, and I'm going to start a little bit darker, I think, around the edges here, and then I think I'm going to start kind of blending a little bit of the white into the middle. We'll just kind of see how it goes. And then same at the bottom. It's a really pretty color, like a perfect light tan color. And I may have to do another coat of this. We'll just kind of see how it goes. And then this is the Antique Villa. I'm just going to kind of do it in the middle here a little bit. And I've got a mister bottle here, and this is just something that I have picked up at Hobby Lobby. I think it was like $8 or something. And then I'm just going to kind of go back over it with the Gustavian. Again with the Antique Villa. Just kind of trying to lighten it up and let it look like a fade there in the middle. And you can go both directions when you blend. So you can go up and down and left to right, and it'll kind of help soften the lines that you see. I didn't put my brush up while I left it sitting here, so it's a little bit drier. And then some pieces on it there. here in the middle. And this is just a base coat. We'll probably go back over it again, so that'll be perfect. And the water works great with the chalk style paints. It just kind of reactivates it, keeps it from getting dry. And you start blending. If you see, it's kind of pulling your color. When you're moving your brush across it, it's getting a little dry. And then you can just kind of spray back over it with the water. It kind of reactivates it a little bit, keeps it from dragging or pulling. So that's why we do that. And you can use any water bottle, really. I've had one, I think I got at Walmart or the dollar store, something simple, just a regular spray bottle that I used for a while. And then I happened to find these at Hobby Lobby, and I got one to try it out. It does work better, just because it's a lot finer mist with the water bottle that I was using. It was dropping kind of big, heavy drops on it, and that's just like a really fine spray. Does work a little bit better. But anything can work. I have a friend, Susie from the White Plum, who uses an old Febreze bottle because it has a nice fine mist. It works well. That's it for the first coat. Alright, I'm going to come back and do a second coat here. So this is the Gustavian again. And that's good and dry. The chalk-based paints dry really fast. And keep working. So usually if you just keep working around your piece, by the time you get back to the front again, it's ready for another coat. My paintbrush is drying. I also am slinging paint all over my phone. And I just put a little bit of the Antique Villa here with this other brush, and I'm just barely dipping it in just to get it a little bit lighter, just kind of dragging it out. And then I could use a different brush that's clean and dry to go back over it, but I'm just kind of using this one to go back over it. Just trying to get it a little bit lighter there in the middle. And again, you can go up and down or left to right. And that just kind of fades your lines there. Back with the Antique Villa. getting this a little bit softer, lighter color right in the middle. I've got a nice, I'm thinking about maybe doing a damask type pattern on the front. I've got stripes already marked off on it as well, but also thinking about doing a damask pattern on some of the drawers and painting it on with maybe like a pearl white. Let's see. Still working through that part. Spray it with a little water. Go back with my Antique Villa. And then just back with my brush that has the Gustavian on it. I'm just kind of blending it together. And if you go in the opposite direction, it does kind of help hide your lines a little bit, so you don't have as much of a transition between the two colors. The last one, and then I'll let this dry and I'll come back and peel the tape off so you guys can see. And hopefully, since we did our little base coat for our tip for the day, over the paint or over the tape, hopefully we will have near perfect or perfect lines. Alright, I'm going to let that dry and I'll be back. Okay, I think this is dry enough. I did go back and add a little bit more white to these two pieces right here just now because they were a little bit darker than these. And do always let your paint dry first before you decide that, because sometimes, you know, when it's still a little bit damp, it'll look different. So I did wait on it to dry, but those two look just a little bit darker to me. There's one. That, my friends, is a good feeling, because that is a perfect line right there. So I'm going to get these smaller pieces of tape here off first. These were just my keep me from making a mess pieces. And these two sides are still a little bit wet because I did go back over them and add a little more white. It is still a little damp, but that's okay. Just be careful. You don't want to pull too crazy. Just pull straight down with your tape. And we do put these all on in one solid piece. There's two actually on this one because we, I think, added to the width a little bit, trying to space them out right. But it really does not get any more perfect than that. And just to recap, you know, the whole piece is painted in the Antique Villa, and then we taped it off. And instead of just going, after I taped it, instead of going over it and painting my darker, the Gustavian lines, I went over it again with the same color that I used for the base coat, the Antique Villa, and painted over the lines of the tape. And what that does is it seals your tape to your piece, so that instead of when you paint the color that you're using, instead of it going up under the tape and bleeding, it seals it down so it won't. And you can either use your paint that you used as your base coat, so in this case my Antique Villa, or you can seal it with like a top coat. And another thing that I have used for that again is the Xoxo varnish, and you can use that also if you want to use that as a clear coat instead of using your paint, and just put that over the lines of your tape to seal it in really good, and it keeps you from having bleeds. So I've got one other piece here, and that'll be the last one. Oh, that one's a little bit wet still, so I'm going to let that dry and then I'll brush that off. But otherwise, completely perfect lines. And I did, you know, lighten it up here in the middle when I did the Gustavian. So I used the Gustavian to paint the whole strip, and then I also used the Antique Villa just to blend a little bit in the middle pieces here. And they're perfectly clean, and that makes my OCD heart happy. Thanks for joining us, guys. Hey guys, this is Tyler here, again from Rehab to Fab Designs. I'm just working on this piece again that I started yesterday. I did a short video for you guys on how to do, how to paint some pretty stripes. So just to recap, primed, prepped, base coat in Antique, I'll say Villa, I guess some people say Villa, but anyways, and then we put the tape on it, spaced it out appropriately so the width is all the same. And then I went back over it with the base coat color, which is the Antique Villa, to seal my tape down. And what that does is just keeps you from having so many bleeds when you remove your tape. The other color I'm using here is Xoxo also, and it's called Gustavian, and that's my light brown kind of tan taupe color that I'm using here, and I am blending a little bit of the Antique Villa in on it also to get it a little bit lighter in the middle. I did the side panel here the other day and did the 2 videos for that, and then today I have all of this to do and the other side panel over there, and it's all taped off and ready. And I'll probably do one of these where I can kind of explain what I'm doing as I'm going, and then maybe just time lapse the rest of it because it's going to take a little bit. And my little boy's over there watching TV, so if you hear Minecraft videos in the background, that's what's going on with that. I'm using shorties or S30s. It's a shorty cling-on brush. I just like the length of them better. They're easier for my hand to hold when I'm working on stuff. And so I've got the Gustavian that I just showed you, and then also Xoxo Paint Antique Villa. That's my white color. It's really pretty color, not white, not cream. And then I have this just little water bottle that sprays a fine mist that I got at Hobby Lobby. And so I had to kind of spray just to get it going, just to kind of wet it because this is from yesterday. And then I'm just dipping my shorty brush in the Gustavian. And what I did on the other side over there was I painted it a little darker around the top and the bottom, and then blended a little bit of the Antique Villa in the middle area just to kind of lighten it up a little bit. And I did do 2 coats total, so this being the first coat, so doesn't have to be perfect on your blending because we're just kind of putting the color on. And there's already white behind that obviously, but we're just adding a little bit more so we can get our paint wet again and kind of get it moving. And do brush both ways, up and down and left or right. Just kind of helps you hide some of your lines and transitions from one color to the next. And that's it. I'll leave that like that because I'll come back on my second coat and add a little bit more. But kind of just setting the tone for what we're doing as far as where I want my lines to start. Or my color transition to start, I should say. We don't want lines. That's the whole point of blending, right? So Gustavian on the top and bottom, and then putting the Antique Villa in the middle. And then, I don't know if you guys can see, I'll try to move it up, but I've got my camera flipped around so it's hard to see. So you can see where it blended here, but you can also see the lines kind of up and down. So that's why I come back and go back and forth. And then it kind of hides those lines a little bit. And then also kind of gives it more like a smoky look. And then I'll come back with my second coat also and help blend it even more. So just getting our color on right now. And I did go around and seal my paint edges yesterday good with my finger first too, just to make sure that they were laying down good. And then you may want to make sure you get in there because you don't want to have to go back and touch it up afterwards. The idea is to remove your painter's tape and have pretty clean lines.
So all you have to do is pop down to the bottom here, you run a handful of blocks, chuck in some blocks underneath the sticky piston, and then some more blocks running across like this, just like that. We're going to need some fuses running into all of these blocks right here.
Just kind of blending those two together.
Back there. Then underneath this block, you just want to place the block down at the bottom here. We have a redstone down into that one. The block right there to stop our two bits of redstone wiggling. We want to place a redstone right there. You drop that. Running across and item inside that.
I'm going to do the same thing up here.
You roll, you character, you roll, and then you detail running into this redstone. And what that means is, like this thing that you can see, that that is dispensed with the seal, we'll click later again. One of our pistons extend, pushing out the pump. The next thing we're going to be working on in our redstone factory is the actual switching set. Now this sort of thing is incredibly useful for your own survival world, but I think it fits really quite nicely inside this factory right here. So the way we're going to build it is by placing a regular piston right here with a block next to it and a redstone switch on top. And as you can see, that piston will extend. You want to place a repeater right here, you block, and then a button. And that is the entire
If you guys have never used Xoxo paint, it is really good to blend with. We've used different chalk paints throughout the years and also made our own chalk paint because there was nobody around us that sold and it was just easy. So we're in the Home Depot because I live like literally a mile and a half from it. When we started using Xoxo, and like wow, it really does make a difference in your outcome and also how much work you have to do while you're doing it when you have a good brush and good paint. On the brushes, these are the cling-on brushes that Xoxo also sells, and so we retail them here as well. And they work really good. They also clean themselves basically, which is nice. But they're really good for blending. And like I say, I mean, we were blending before, but it was just a lot more work trying to get those smooth lines and not showing, or smooth transitions and not showing lines in between your colors. And it's just so much easier again with this paint and a good brush. These brushes yesterday when I finished up, I had to go pick up my little boy from school, and I left a little later than I normally do because we had somebody come out of the shop, and so I didn't really have time to wash them. I just kind of stuck them under the sink for a second to get the heavy excess paint out, and then I suspend them in probably like cottage cheese jar or something, just a little plastic container. But my husband had some scraps of wood that he cut out circles in the top of, so that these the smaller part of the handle fits in it. And so what we do is go up from the bottom, put that in there, and then we use a clothespin to clip it at the top. And that way, using the clothespin, you can, you know, change the how much you want the brush to go down in the water. You don't want your brush touching the water when you put it in. You want it raised just a little bit above it and then not covering the metal, so still on the brush bristles themselves, and it pulls all the paint out itself, so you don't really have to clean them. They're self-cleaning, and I mean, what's better than that to save you time and energy? Just spritzing a little bit of water on that to help the paint move.
Seems to be working nicely. So for the minute, we're going to turn off this pump and make sure that it's not firing anymore. we're going to place in. Now, when you place them, it is in a very specific order. You're going to need a box going across the bottom right here, and then a box going across the top just like that. So you should have one line of blocks there, a gap.
And if you guys would like to try out the paint or the brushes, we would love to send you some. We do retail it here at the shop if you're local. And if you're not, we can ship it to you. We sell it on our website, rehabtofabdesigns.com. And then also, we have an Etsy shop that we sell on as well. Etsy takes a good chunk in fees when you make sales on there, so I prefer to sell them on my website, but we'll take whatever's easier for people. So that's it. Let's see. Yeah, this one's almost dry. I'll do another one right here and then just let this one get good and dry, and then I'll come back and do a second coat over here on the one I just finished, the first one, and then I'll probably time lapse the rest of this just so it's not so long a video. And then of course, if you guys have any questions, you can always email me, message me. My cell phone is posted all over our site and our website. Just try to do it at decent times because it really is my personal cell phone. It's not like a business phone. Or you can post in the comments. We like constructive criticism so we can help grow. However, we do ask that you do it nicely and have manners. Maybe do it privately. It's easy in a world of social media to forget to have manners. Woo. Always be kind to others. That's what I tell my little boy. I tell you all too. You never know what other people are going through. You should always be kind.
We've built this thing from scratch. It's pretty cool, very industrial. Not the prettiest building in the world, but it's a factory, so it's not meant to be the prettiest building in the world. And then up the top, we've got our semi-working redstone sign. It's meant to flicker, it's meant to look kind of broken, and as you can see, that is working absolutely wonderfully. It looks really quite cool. And then if we pop down inside the factory itself, we've got a ton of different redstone tractors. First thing we've got is we've got our furnaces. If you take a look up the top here, you can see the
same thing, Gustavian on the top and bottom. This is our first coat. I did sew my tape down the other day in a video. If you missed it, you can find it on our Facebook page. We don't have a whole lot of videos on there, so it shouldn't be too hard.
All of these come together to create a really cool build. I personally absolutely love this place. I believe this redstone factory is really good. Unfortunately, ladies and gents, that's what I've got time for today. I can do the studio with you. I
don't know if y'all can see that on video, but the water just makes it blend a lot easier, so it's not pulling. It looks a lot smoother. You can also go back with a dry brush and use that. So put your two paint colors on and then come back again with a dry brush and use that to blend your two colors, and that works really well. You just keep wiping your brush off so you don't get paint on it, because obviously when you're dipping them with these, they get pretty saturated. Even though I'm dipping the tip, I am spraying the water, and so they get wet. If you use a dry brush, it'll help kind of blend those lines as well, so you have nice pretty smooth transitions.
Now, the first thing you have to do when you construct one of these is actually build an arena yourself. Now, this is the arena that I've actually. Now, you may be sat there thinking, wow, how am I meant to build a sample? I mean, this looks like a really complicated shaped build. Obviously, you could follow along what I've done over here.
A little water there in the middle.
One down with the stone bricks there.
Antique Villa.
You can hop onto the internet, look up the Minecraft circuit generator, then enter in diameter 30, and that will give you this exactly. Now, the blocks that I've decided to use is a sand in the centre, then going around the outside, we've got the stone bricks. Then on top of those, we've got these screws or fences, which I think look really, really cool. I mean, I think this
place is there, and then this one I think over here is dry, so I'm going to come back. Come on. Say hi.
Now, as you can see, on each side of the arena,
Yeah.
we have got these little things right here. Now, these are the entrances.
So come back over here and do the second coat. Same thing I did the first time. We're just getting it a little bit thicker.
So that's what we're going to construct right here. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place
So it's a little more opaque.
this block all the way over this block. I'm going to place maybe a handful of them, probably back to around about there. So we're going 5 blocks back from that wall right there, and then we're going to fill in this entire space with all of those, just making their way back like this. Then, as you can see, I've added in some stone bricks going around the outside of my stone slabs, and on top of those stone bricks, we're placing in all of these fence posts. Now, that's just to keep with the theme of the arena. I think it looks pretty cool. So I'm going to start adding in all of the redstone contraptions, or at least the inputs for all of the redstone contraptions. So the first thing you need to do is you need to place a bed in this corner right here, which will allow the players to set their spawn. Then above that bed, we're going to place in some tripwire hooks, then some string, and then we're going to place 2 blocks up like this with some tripwire hooks on this side.
Just really lightly brushing this. But just kind of using the tip of my brush here to just really lightly brush it. Just blending those 2 colors together. And then if you get a little too lighter on the bottom, you can just pick up some more of your darker color and replace it with Gustavian.
Giving of bow and giving of the sword. So we're going to place a dispenser based output on this block right here. We're going to take a repeat output from this button that's going to be running out into a block like this. We're going to place a couple of blocks going around like that.
For that one.
And some redstone does running around like that. We're going to comparator set into subtract.
Now
what that means is that when we hit this button right here, this comparator is going to fire a certain number of times. In fact, it's going to fire 7 times, which is fine by me because we have 6 items that we need to dispense. So now what we have to do is hook up this dispenser into the system, and the way we're going to do that is really quite simple. Just run the redstone down a little bit like this, underneath there, and then into that block right there. Now it can be a little bit difficult to see. We're just running the redstone like that to make sure that this right here is a solid block. And as you can hear, we have ourselves a fully working system. Excellent. Also, all of the arrow dispensing, so you want to place a sticky piston next to this block right here with the rest of the block on its face. And that is going to extend.
Sometimes when you get through with it, you'll see like some of them may be a little lighter. Like this one when I just finished it. And they change obviously as they dry too, but this one looked a little bit lighter than this one that I was just doing. So I'm just going to go back and put a little more paint on here. In the white. There's a little piece of fuzz around there I'm trying to get.
Super fast redstone block. Now things again just a tiny bit tight underneath here. You're going to have to take out a few blocks.
And then again just kind of lightly brushing it with your brush.
Now the reason that we're not placing our dropout on this layer is because then the player can reach inside.
And then when you get done, you can look and see after they all dry, see if they're kind of the same color. If not, you just go back and add some lighter color if you need it, or darken it if it's too light, whatever look you're going for.
That one there needs to be blocked, this one here needs to be blocked, and this one as well, because then when the drops out of this block, they'll just pop up onto the surface like lights on the picture, and that means that the player does not have access to any of those items, which is absolutely fantastic. So now we're going to pop down underneath, we need to wire up that drop right there, and the way that we're going to do that is we're actually going to take an alphabet out like this, sort of wrap it around like that, and apply it inside of the drop just like this. So I think it's about time we gave this thing a bit of a test. So as you can see, we've got a full set of armour inside the dispenser with a bow and a sword. And then in this couple right here, we have ourselves some arrows and just place them inside just like that. And then once again, a full block on top of that dropper there. And we stand on top of this dispenser. As you can see right now, I'm completely unequipped. If we clear out my inventory and hit this button, we should see that I have got a full set of armour. Also got a sword, a bow, I managed to pick up 1 arrow.
I didn't spray that one because my brush was still pretty wet from the last piece I just did here.
Now, if you want to add more arrows or reduce the number of arrows your players are going to have, then just make this pulse extender.
You just keep going to get the softness that you're looking for between colors and your transitions, so they're nice and smooth. I'm going to stop this here and then I'll do like time lapse, I guess, on the rest. So it doesn't get too boring. Okay, so I got my first coat on here, on the whole thing. I did the side too, but I'm not gonna want to go on there because it's crazy. But there's that. I'll speed that up so it's hopefully not so long of a video. And then I'm going back over this again. I just did these two and like the look of it. And what I'm doing, I just kind of sprayed it a little bit, and then I'm adding my white, the Antique Villa in the middle because I am trying to brighten it up just a little bit. So just using that, and then picking up a little bit of the Gustavian, and then just kind of coming across it this way, just to darken, because I want the edges to be darker around the outside. And then I'm just using my same brush here that I was using for the Antique Villa, and just kind of blending that in. And again, going both directions. And if it gets dry and seems to pull, just kind of add a little more water.
Now that I've fixed that up, I have created a relatively interesting concept in which we have a compound infinite water.
And then, obviously, ultimately, you're going to get dark in there too, or white where you don't want it. So I'm just kind of coming back again with my dark, just where the white ran a little bit where I sprayed it because it got a little loose there. Just coming across the top again with the Gustavian, and then I'll go same direction. I spray my brush so it will run on my paint, and then just kind of pulling it in the opposite direction here. And you just keep doing it until you kind of get the look you're going for and get it as soft as you want it. That's it. I think I'll probably leave it like that. It's hard to tell right now too because I have the tape around it, and so you see blue, and so it's kind of really hard to visualize. But that's kind of what it's looking like. And it's funny because I can see more shadows on the camera than I can when I see it. But that's looking pretty soft, and I like that. So that's what we're going to go for. I think that's light enough that it matches the side panel that I did first. So same thing, I'll just keep going back. This will be my second coat on the rest of it. Same thing, add some white in the middle, spray it, add some more Gustavian at the top and the bottom where I need it. And then just kind of pulling the two together until I get it soft. And basically looking for just smooth transitions. That's the hardest part to learn with the blending. And I mean, I still struggle with it myself too. I guess everybody does. You just keep going until you get it where you want it. And, you know, if you're not liking the way it looks, you can just let it dry. And then come back to it after it's dry and just start all over. All you're doing is adding more layers and, you know, getting your paint thicker, but that's fine. So I did the Antique Villa there in the middle, went across the top horizontally with the Gustavian, the top and the bottom there. And then again, this is my same brush that I'm using for the Antique Villa, and I'm going horizontally just to kind of blend those two colors so we get like a nice soft transition from one color to the next. That way you don't see a line between the brown and the white, but it goes from a darker brown to a lighter brown to white, and it fades back out again at the bottom.
This is something that I wasn't really planning on doing, but I wonder if it could work with a boat. It's a boat flag, aren't you? and is now up on the surface. So clearly, it would function. Now I've made some pretty serious changes to the redstone circuitry, and I've made sure that the pulse stays on for long enough to actually allow the boat to reach up to the surface. If it doesn't, then the boat sinks back down to the bottom, which is perfect, but it should now function. What? So, okay, by the look of things, the boat is out of the question. This is still stupidly fun though. I mean, as you can see, oh, we haven't quite finished yet. As you can see, I've built in all the ceiling and I've done all the main walls as well. And you can see we still have quite a few.
And that's pretty much it. I'm just going to keep going and do the rest of this. I'm going to probably pause it so I can speed it up again so it's not so long. Okay, so I've got 2 coats on the rest of this piece here. And I was kind of working on it doing like 2 panels in between the tape at a time. But then I just went back and did, actually I'm sorry, I got 3 coats. I went back and did a 3rd coat right here just now. And I'll just kind of show you how I did it. It's a little bit harder to do all of it at one time because it's longer. So it dries, and so it's harder, and you got to be careful and work fast so it doesn't pull. These are a little bit easier, so I'll kind of just show you what I did. I just went the whole thing down, and then I went right in the middle with my Antique Villa. And then I'm picking up my Gustavian, which is the tan color. Same thing going across the top and also the bottom. So I want those parts obviously to be darker. And then just making sure it's good and wet. And then I just took my brush that I'm using on the white. Look at those chairs back there somebody dropped off. And then just kind of going over the whole thing. And I'm dragging this up into the brown, the Gustavian, just to lighten it, and then kind of bringing it back down. And then going right here, same thing. Just bringing it up into the white and just making it like a soft, little bit softer blend. It also kind of adds a little more color to the white, so it's not so stark. I do want it brighter, obviously, but I want it to blend softly from one color to the next and not be such a stark difference. So just using that one brush that already has the white on it and mixing it. And I've got a little bit more right up here. I can see a line. And you'll just go back and you just keep doing it until you kind of get them the same. Sometimes it takes a couple of layers to get it the color you want, and also the smoothness you want between your transitions. But definitely brushing both ways helps to get those soft transitions. So same thing here. This will be my third coat on this, and I'm done, and then I'll start peeling. And hopefully they'll come off perfect like the side panel I did yesterday. They should, in theory, because I did the same thing. But you never know. Sometimes you have a little place that bleeds. So that was the Antique Villa in the middle, Gustavian on the bottom, and I'm basically doing like the width of my brush. This is the Shorty S30, and just kind of doing the width of it. There. And then the same thing up top. And then again, making sure it's wet. And then going back with my brush that has the Antique Villa on it. And just start in the middle. And start blending your way up into that Gustavian, or your darker color, whatever it is. And then I'm going to start going down into the dark that's on the bottom. And then back up. And then again, just, if you need to, you can add a little bit more of the Gustavian or your darker color at the top just to kind of hide some of the lines. I got a little white up there. And then again, also make sure you let it dry before, in between, like working on it, because it does look different when it's wet from when it's dry. That way you can kind of see afterwards if you're the amount of light and dark that you have on each one is kind of the same. This is the blue tape here you see in between, but kind of looking, to have about the same width in your darkness on top and bottom and on each one. That way they're consistent. And also on your side pieces, where I worked on that. I'm going to let this dry a few minutes, and then I'll come back and peel it. Okay, this is dry. Start peeling the tape off, and we'll see how it looks. I do see areas on the right of the drawers. I told y'all I was messy, where I've got the Gustavian paint, so that's going to need a little bit of touch-ups.
They've got the tiniest little section already. Well, also don't want it to be too impactful on my environment. If it's too big, that's going to happen. I need some X's. Let's go inside. Maybe in the morning.
I love clean lines. So these shorter pieces in between are just to protect this here so I didn't get paint all over it, even though I still did in some places. Still much better than it could have been.
Every time I need demo or something, it's going to be a whole mess to try and get in.
I'm just kind of getting this off first because it's on top of it. Alright, just a little closer so you can see. Then I'm just going to pull from the top.
Make sure you don't escape. Come on, do this last one. You shall not escape. No, 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 no. Yes! Down from there, you can't jump up there. You're in the cow pit for a reason.
Perfect lines. No bleeds. Makes me happy. It's okay if you do get them, but it's just harder to clean them up even when you go back and put tape over it afterwards.
This is better. What do you think, guys? There's actually way less of you than I thought there was, because before, all glitchy and stuff, I ended up with a full inventory. How has that happened? We haven't even done anything like decent today. Right, I need your services again, please. Kitty cat, come across the Wall Street Bridge. I need your services.
That's it.
Bridge in hindsight. Now I've got
So I've got both the sides done on this triple dresser, and then this was my drawer fronts here that I was doing, and then for the top drawers, the tops are really plain. There's not a whole lot to them. Just a flat front with no trim or anything. So just because, one, to me, this is like a Henredon dresser. It's very nice, very well built, expensive furniture. And I'm kind of surprised because they put all the trim around this and then they left these just so plain. So because of that, and also because I dressed up the dresser drawers, these dresser drawers in the sides with the stripes, I'm going to do something to that. So I've got a print that I did. I printed a tile, like a damask pattern with my vinyl cutter, and so I'm going to put that up there if all goes well, unless I get too frustrated first. And I say that because I've been picking it all day in between my coats drying. So this is the pattern that I'm going to put on it. So if you see, this is on vinyl. All the white that you see are all teeny tiny little pieces that I have to use basically like a toothpick size tool to pick all that stuff out. And then I'll tape over it and then paint it. And that's just half of one piece for one of the shorter drawers. So I've got these 3 drawers, 2 smaller ones and the longer one here in the middle. And then I'm going to put them on the side panels as well on the top. So I have a lot left to do for that. I won't video that, of course, because it's boring. But probably when I get done and get to that point, I'll probably video that as well. But it's similar to the disc that I did, the black and white kind of whimsical piece where I did the leopard print and the stripes on it. So it's similar to that. But that's what we have so far. So this is my blended paint. This, again, just to recap, is the Antique Villa, or Antique Villa, as some people say about Xoxo. That's the base coat here, and then the stripes in between are that. And then for the color, I did Xoxo Gustavian, which is a light tan kind of taupe color, and then I also blended the Antique Villa into the center of it just to give it a little bit of depth and dimension. So that's what it's looking like so far, and I've got all that to go. So I'm going to jump off here and work on that, and I will see you guys later. Thanks, bye.